Presidents tell us what they care about most based on where and how they spend their time. Today, President Biden's enjoying a long weekend in Delaware at the beach, but he took a few minutes earlier, as you saw, to talk about a number of things, including the next steps on gun control. He wants an assault weapons ban. After all, last night, he gave his first primetime address on a single policy issue.
My staff is dealing and has been dealing constantly with every member of the House and Senate who's wanted to talk about guns. It's been a constant interchange, and I've been constantly briefed. I will do what I can to try to see that we have some real progress.
Remember, just this week, multiple articles talked about Mr. Biden's frustration for lack of progress on his key issues. Niall Stanage, White House columnist for our partners at The Hill, good friend of the show, joins us now, perhaps in double. Oh, you were in double on the wall. Now you're in single on the screen. My friend, good to see you. I think about the power of persuasion. Richard Neustadt, the great political scientist at Harvard, talked about that's the real power of the presidency. Does the White House worry about what kind of power of persuasion you've got from the beach?
Not really, is the short answer. I mean, the White House always makes the point when the president goes to Delaware that the phone works in Delaware, right? You know, you're not out and incommunicado just because you go away for the weekend. The other question here, Leland, though, is that these negotiations seem to be primarily driven at the Senate level. Chris Murphy leading the charge for Democrats to try to reach a deal with Republicans on this issue. Yeah. The power of persuasion is a complicated picture right now because we're in such a polarized time. Would President Biden's direct involvement make it more or less likely that there would ultimately be a deal?
Yeah, it's a great point because you've got 40% approval rating. So how much really arm twisting ability do you have? I don't know what when you listened to the speech last night, put the policies aside, just talk about the politics. I thought to myself, what a missed opportunity. You've got Rick Scott, who is a key Republican senator, chair of the National Republican Senatorial Committee, possible 2024 presidential contender. When he was governor of Florida, he put through some really meaningful gun control legislation. Banned weapon sales to those younger of 21, period. Imposed a 3-day waiting period, something that obviously the president and Democrats want. Created red flag laws in Florida. He defied the NRA to do it. It all came in the wake of the Parkland shooting. Yesterday, the president called Republicans unconscionable. I'm just wondering, from a political standpoint, what's the calculus of not putting up a picture of Rick Scott and saying, this was Rick Scott's law in 2018. We should do for America what Rick Scott did for Florida. I challenge him to work with me. Boy, it's all we would be talking about today, isn't it?
Well, you could certainly have made that argument. As you say, the Florida law was passed very much in the shadow of the Parkland massacre. And I believe it got about 2/3 of the Republicans in the legislature there to support it. Now, that has not been a reality that has been reflected in the national picture or in the federal level. After, previous tragedies, one looks at Sandy Hook when then President Obama made a very strong push for gun control and was rebuffed by Republicans on that occasion. Have things changed? Maybe. Maybe there's the potential for outreach. Senator Murphy, the Democrat I mentioned earlier, says he does believe that at least some Republicans are negotiating with a greater level of sincerity. So you could make that argument. It's just that the math of the Senate, while there is overwhelming or majority Republican opposition to gun laws, is very difficult. 50-50 Senate, you need 60 votes.
Yeah, I just keep wondering sort of if he had forced a bipartisan compromise or forced Republicans to turn it down, what that would have done. Niall, great seeing you. Have a good weekend. Not only does the phone work, the internet works in Washington. We'll read your columns on the Hill. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Leland.
Thank you. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.